Hello, everyone. Today I have a really nice invite. She's a cybersecurity expert, she's a lawyer, and she's also my friend. So this is really nice to have her here. I want to introduce you to Marisa. Hello, Marisa. How are you?
Hi, Gemma. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
So happy to have you here. Tell us,
Yeah.
tell us a little about you, Marisa. How are you first, and then who you are. Explain to everyone looking.
Okay, so I'm actually good. We're having sunshine in the Netherlands. That is helpful.
That helps.
And still busy, which also helps your mental well-being. And to give you a little summary of not so much who I am, but what I do, I am a lawyer registered in Portugal. In the Netherlands, I have MQM Legal Center that wants already to tackle the legal services in another way. And I call myself joking, but maybe less joking by day, that I think I'm like a little bit the hybrid. I became a certified mediator, I became a data protection officer, I became a contract manager. And I experience being in my law practice and working as an in-house. So my path is actually a combination of non-traditional legal aspects that gave me a little different insight in many topics. And I'm currently still a student in the professional diploma of cybersecurity and data protection in Maastricht University. So I'm currently start working on my thesis, and I hope to be an eternal student. But I think that's quite guaranteed, to be honest.
Yeah, I think this can happen because you want to help people always. So then you will need to learn the new things. So you have another
and in a changed world, you need to walk the walk with a change. So you are a constant student itself.
Yeah, if you don't study, you're out. So.
Yeah, and I do think in a way it's scary because we come from a world of specialists. You still see a lot of people branding themselves as specialists. I joke a little bit saying, well, I'm quite traditional regarding the word specialist. So if you don't have 20 years career and deep insight in a matter that you can sing it from one point to the other and be quite a master, I don't see as an expert. I don't see myself as an expert. I see myself as a generalist, which is also needed, actually. But like I was saying, in this world that so many things started new. I remind you that data protection officer was not even a profession.
Yeah.
So all these things are coming, and it's quite exciting, but it's also very demanding. As you also know, because you also walk this path with your clients. So. But again, in the end of the day, for people who have a creative side as well and a curious side, the generalists maybe are a little bit happier because they can jump from subject to subject.
You can help in the project.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to know how it works because, for example, the small companies like me, do you need security? You need it, of course, but why? How you need it? How do you know? How do you know what part is needed? How to start?
Look, one of the things I also, I have my professional side and I have what I call my humanist side. Yes. In the other part of me, I created Humanity of Things that is exactly to provoke the Internet of Things and to tackle the concept of literacy in the 21st century.
Important.
Do we know what we need to know?
No.
I do. No, that is clearly the answer. So, what I perceived in my own path, continuous discovering in this field, is that of course you as an individual first, you need to have a basic understanding of security in the digital sphere. I wrote a column for Delft Mama, that you know it's a group of mothers, exactly because I also think that when we use when we are living in this digital era with ourselves, with our children, with our content, with our lives now in Internet of Things, we are not aware, and we are also quite, you read a review and you think, oh, this is perfect. And I can give you a practical example, and then we go to the company side.
Okay.
I have a couple that has a child, and they are friends, and she's more or less the age of my children.
Yes.
And she has now a phone, a smart phone for children that she can call the parents, and there's GPS and all of that. And I get very excited, because who doesn't want to have your children in a way
to know
protected till you see Black Mirror, and then you kind of not want that anymore. But joke apart. So he, the father of this couple, he works in IT. So he's a well known. He has a lot of knowledge. What he told me, he said he read many reviews, all of them giving you perfect safety idea, and only 2 brands did the pen testing, and he, after quite some study, he decided for that brand. But when we were having this conversation as friends, he told, also because his wife was saying she's not an IT, and she was saying, oh no, this one is safe. This one is safe. Nobody can. And he said, no, you cannot guarantee this is safe.
It's less dangerous.
These ones were tested, and the test did not manage to break the security. It doesn't mean that this security cannot be broken. So when you start understanding, I always feel a little bit like we should try to understand security in the digital world, in the cyberspace, a little bit as your security in the analog world, in the real world.
Yes.
And if you can compare, you would say that there's no building that cannot be broken.
Yes.
The difference is what kind of weapon you should have, from a simple kick with your foot till, I don't know, a nuclear.
Yeah, it depends how difficult it is to do it.
Exactly. So, and also with the time and the knowledge that will bring different challenges and make it easier or more difficult. For instance, when quantum computing become a reality, can you imagine the complete different way that we'll perceive security online?
It's completely different.
We don't even understand really what's going to be. So, like I say, so if we as persons, like I said, Humanity of Things would like to have this idea of that you as a person to be literate, it means that you need to have basic understandings of your own digital security, because also more and more, especially for small and medium companies, it's a thin line between your individual life and your business life. Many of the young entrepreneurs, and they have their private life and their business life sometimes in one continuous gadget in a cloud. Yes, and it's normal. Is it wise? Well, there's also a level of risk, and this is to do also about risk assessment and risk management. So, and a process that is in growing and in, like, I remember to get out of a session for Women in Business International Initiative in The Hague with a lady that is like one of the best cybersecurity experts in the Netherlands, Mario, and wherever she is, big up for her. And I admire her, she's one of really the experts. And I think sometimes when you deep dive in this subject, you start getting high levels of anxiety.
Yeah. When more you know, it's more like, oh,
sometimes you do I think it's quite human that you start taking risks, because if you really think deep about all the risks you are facing, sometimes it does froze you. So I think we need to take a little bit the idea that, for instance, when we are being trained to be data protection officers, one of our function is to create awareness. It's actually the first and most important function of a data protection officer, to create awareness and critical thinking. Because sometimes, if you go by the book, sometimes the things that you taught are not in the list, and you need critical thinking, and you really need to decide as well. So empower the people, the teams, the decision makers is the most important function. And one of the things we were taught in the beginning to say is that it's not a matter of if, it's always a matter of when. A data breach, a company, either is a small company or a big company, should always think about their data in a data breach or a cyber attack as when
it will happen,
not as if. For small and medium companies or one-person business, of course, it's more challenging because, as we all know, services and tools have prices. And I understand that, because I already heard sentences like, oh, compliance? GDPR, do I need to GDPR compliance? Oh, but I don't have money. Like that, I would never open a business. And the reply to this is always, please then, do not open. I understand what you're saying, and sometimes I give a little bit these ridiculous images for them to understand, like, okay, can you imagine to say, I have this beautiful space here and some nice tables, and I know how to cook food, but I miss walls around me, or else I would have a restaurant, but I will start without the walls. You know, like, you need to go to the ad absurdum, you know, like, to this argument of absurd for people to... And of course, you could have a restaurant with no walls. But, you know, you need to say something very absurd for people to understand. So, that said, I also think that people who have their own businesses should be creative in this sense. Lawyers always have their friends who call for that question. Do you mind to reply me to that little question?
This happened with marketing and communications. It's like, for you, it's nothing.
See? So we need to trace our friends from IT and start abuse them. So
sounds really bad, Marisa.
I know. But look, now talking serious, of course. If you do not have immediately the money, you have something that is quite amazing. In this beautiful new century, Google. So, you have for free some basic courses, you know, from Coursera's and all of this. So try, I'm not telling you that this will solve, but at least go and explore. There's quite some information, you know. For instance, in LinkedIn, you have the slide share. There's information there, so of course try to understand which fonts you are looking for, the sources. It's very important. But even governmental institutions, ENISA, more and more you have sources for at least create awareness, you know? And then you have, when you search, for instance, try to search for simple things like best practices. Would this make you not need the professional services? No. the same as with a marketing person, the same with a lawyer. But what I think is that you will then create a better understanding even of your needs and a real awareness. Okay, this is important for me to invest in this topic, So start the path by enlightening yourself for the need to be with some awareness, personal and with your business. So to understand when you understand a little bit your business, what kind of data do you have, a little bit what GDPR people were trying to do, where is this stored, do you do backups, so, like how long do you keep this data, for what do you keep this data, if you have some email that you clicked by accident, phishing, so, and also, of course, when you understand this and you have a better awareness of your own business, maybe when you reach also the professionals, you can have a different conversation with them, so yes. You can be part of the process, because I don't think that you can have a good process if you don't have some critical awareness of this. This is not the kind of service that you arrive and say, oh, by the way, can you put this, everything perfect for me? And yes. No, this is an engagement. Because also, anybody will tell you that some of the issues regarding cybersecurity are human behavior.
Yeah, I hear that before.
So, like I remember I have a dear friend that is also a data protection officer, and we give some awareness sessions, and he read in a study that in a company, the weak link would be a woman in her 30s with a purse because she would lost her purse, and everybody would laugh. I really didn't like the joke of the purse and the women. Okay, and I never back checked that, but it was enough for everybody to laugh. But more than anything, if it's a woman or not, because data we can try to confirm it, for sure, it's human behavior. Most of the time. So you can create mental processes that allow you, like for instance, before you go to bed, maybe you go and you check if your front door is well closed. You
have
that your windows are closed. Yeah. Some people have those small little steps. And I think it's a little bit also about this routine, about this, like I was saying, the best practices. You should really always think about best practices, because there's no such a thing as the perfect, So when it's not, when you cannot reach for perfection, when you cannot reach for I'm completely safe, best practices will be your best friend. Okay?
Yes.
And, of course, an antivirus will not give you complete protection. But should you have one? I think so. It's quite basic that an antivirus, like Kaspersky, Norton, why not? And there's many discussions among professionals and the experts, and they will tell you that it's not enough. Of course, it's not enough. But yeah, a little bit, this ideas. And if you are already a medium company, but even if you are a small company, shouldn't we, for instance, have this idea of document your cybersecurity policies, even have them, because like I say, it's a process in the building. You will not be able to create everything is perfect done. And also, don't forget that you have trying to understand, try to do some implementation of the basics, but the monitoring and keeping the update of the control of what you have is not. So this, I think maybe I'm going to stretch here a little bit, but you need to start thinking as a business that you should have divine trilogy of people. That would be your legal health as a business, your accountant tax, and more your cybersecurity and your data protection as this triad, that everything that is needed, like marketing and everything that comes, but this triangle where all the reality existence comes, this shape of triangle is based on. Okay, so start understanding this as something that you should not really live without. At least the basics, you know, and because we are so comfortable to have, for instance, accountants as mandatory. Not in the Netherlands, but in some countries they are mandatories. Why shouldn't we be comfortable to understand a little bit if our agreements and everything are okay in the beginning before problems start, but also our security, not only our facilities as well. We have this idea, if we have our office, we also have this, but we now need to think of our office in a different sphere. The digital sphere is still a continuation of your office. So the cloud, and understanding what kind of services am I using? What are the data centers that this data is being kept? So, like I say, and yes, there's quite some toolings, there's some professionals, and for sure a lot of cybersecurity companies that also the market is changing because the companies are very aware of the need of the individual and the small business. So there's already more and more good solutions in the market for the small scale problems.
Yeah, that's right.
But for instance, you, Gemma, what would be your, as having a business, what would be your first nightmare in this?
Well, one thing that always comes to my mind is some people that they don't load all the contacts from LinkedIn and then say mailing to all of the contacts. And I receive these emails and it's like, I never give permission to this.
I understand.
Is that legal? Because in one way I have my email there. But
did you give permission without knowing?
No, that's the thing. I give my email because it's in my profile, but I didn't say to anyone. I say, you can contact to talk with me, but not send me mailings. So it's like, what is the I don't know how to say the difference.
Oh, wait. Let me see if I understood. So you have contacts now on LinkedIn.
You can download
because
them.
They see but they are your contacts.
Yes.
And they send you now information without your request.
To my email. Not to my LinkedIn, but to my email.
To your email, okay.
So some people, they download the contacts, and when you download them, they have the emails there. I do it sometimes to organize my contacts. I also download them, but I don't use them. It's for me to organize my contacts. But some people use it to send you information and selling you things. And
I would need to see the terms and conditions of use of LinkedIn itself, which I use a lot, but I never really dive deep on it. But when we create our account on LinkedIn, and for me it was many years ago, but even when they do updates, the problem is, of course,
we don't read.
Who reads those things? Even people that work in this area, because that's also why I'm not a fan of this, it's not humanly possible to read all the terms and conditions every day of everything you do. So something needs to change, but I also think that convenience is also one of the worst enemies of cybersecurity.
Yes, because we want to be there to contact with people, but we don't know what we are allowing to do with our data.
No, so but there was someone that did some calculation regarding the amount of time that we would need to read these privacy policies and all of that, and you would not do anything else. So what I think you can do is to do the other way around. And I know it should not be like this, don't get me wrong, But if you receive this kind of emails, send them an email saying, I do not want you to send me any more emails.
This is what I'm doing. I say
Yes.
thank you.
Are they complying after?
No, I'm sending it in a polite way. I say, okay, thank you for your communication, but I'm not interested. Please don't send me more emails. Some people stop, some people continue. So when they continue, I mark them as spam. And that's it. But
we should see if they have a data protection officer that you could send them.
Yeah, but I to be honest, I don't lose my time. I just say, okay.
But you see, I think in a way the war is lost because of this. Because of course should not be us.
Yeah, and we don't have the time. Because if
we don't have the time, of course, and that's what I mean. But that is the huge challenge that we face now. Also because this is it's not new in a sense of legislation, even, with the Directive 95 and all of this. It's not new, any of this. Mm-hmm. But the way we perceive it, also like the data protection regulation, all these entities and all of this ecosystem and the data protection officers, this is quite in the infancy also of a mindset. Mm-hmm. So I believe with time things will maybe change, also because the technology will be able to help us to do this control more efficiently. That's at least what I think we all hope.
Yeah, you have to change.
Until then, you do exactly that. You go for the convenient. You are spam. Go to spam and. But yes, I think the landscape of also how we receive and interact with the information itself will dramatically change in the years to come.
Yeah, I think they will need to create new laws because this is pretty new. It's not new, but it's pretty new, the internet.
In a way, I think,
so for instance, we need to adapt and create new.
It's not so much the legislation itself, because GDPR, for instance, in Europe, it's quite strong as a regulation.
Yeah, but I mean, in a way that, for example, LinkedIn, that we were talking about LinkedIn, the way you create your profile, you see a place that you have to press the button and say, okay, I allowed to share my data, something like this really visual that you have to do an action. So then you have to read it, because otherwise you cannot continue. To create this kind of laws and rules.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. And I do think I should even try to see how is the creation of LinkedIn recently to understand what is the process now. But I think we should not be naive. The big structures like LinkedIn, Facebook, and Facebook much bigger than LinkedIn, and Twitters and everything. I think, like I say, the balance between convenience and fun, and then the proper action, it's an unfair game. And I think convenience will win for a long time. But like I say, I do hope that also the authorities themselves will have more capacity, because can you imagine if you would receive this situation and you would be with no big difficulties able to communicate with the data protection authority, that for you would be an easy process as a citizen, as a data subject, maybe you would be able to react. But yes, we are still not there.
But also what you were talking about, convenience. If I have a lot of work and I receive one email, I answer to them and I say, please don't write to me. But I don't have the time to say, I have to call this man, I'm going to find the phone. Usually it's really high, and you have to search for the information when the contact.
Look, I think when you are in the need, also for instance, when you need an app or something that you need, or you really want it, it's not even that you need, but sometimes you really want it, and you are in a hurry. I remember, I cannot tell you what was the company, but I remember that in one of the trainings I saw this example, that an app inserted in the text of the privacy policy something like, from now on your soul will be ours. And, something like a ridiculous sentence that, the soul, we will have your soul for the rest of eternity, something like that. just to prove that you would click on anything.
Yeah,
and I think you would, because you don't even, and when you need to scroll, what you were saying, that you need to scroll sometimes to kind of, yes, I read it. No, you didn't. You just scroll it very quickly, as fast as you can, and then you say yes. So like I say, there's a huge education process as well. There's also all this reacquaintance with the idea of privacy, because before social media and after social media, the new generations that are using social media, what kind of perception do they have even from privacy that is completely different from ours? So a lot of understanding, a lot of awareness, a lot of education, and critical thinking needs to come. Because like I say, this is from the history perspective. We think 30, 50 years, like it's nothing.
Yes.
In the history frame, it's like there's nothing. It's like a hiccup. You don't even understand nothing. So I think we are quite immature. It's immatureness. It's like we're not even pre-adolescents. We are toddlers, maybe.
We're still learning. See how to work.
Yeah, so I think that a lot of things will come in that. But for the businesses, what I will say is that educate yourself as much as you can. If you do have employees, make this a priority. And like I say, you can try to find some companies that will provide you competitive packages of services and training. So that would be really important. And also understanding all the technology that you're using. Don't think about only the phone or only the computer, because you cannot think like that anymore. You need to understand what are all the devices, what kind of communications you have, what kind of systems you have in place. So it's really important. And like I say, if you are one person business, you can. But don't forget that even in one person business, we interact more and more with our clients.
True.
With the platform. So, and you don't understand what the client will do.
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
true.
So,
and we connect in all the platforms.
Yes. So of course,
I think
we are in the rain, and in my country they say people who are in the rain will get wet.
True.
So we are all in the rain at this point in time, and even with the umbrellas, they're like, so. And like I say, when we talk about this conversation, we didn't want to make it boring. None of us like boring. And we wanted to make it useful.
Yes, important.
So it's why we took the creativity approach. I always like to see sci-fi and all this alternative realities, because it prepares your brain to imagine. Imagining scenarios are quite important. That's, in a way, that's also what you do in risk assessment, isn't it? So you should try to do this cool, fun exercises.
New thing.
Yeah, what could happen? And if it would happen, if you would receive a message now saying something like, we have all your data and you need to pay me.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Really, do that exercise. And you will be paralyzed in the beginning, but then, Yes. So the creativity is very important. And also thinking about, like I say, not only you, but who you interface with, your clients. And for instance, for sure, when you have clients regarding marketing, they need to exchange a lot of information with you and vice versa. And for sure, you have or Dropbox or something like that, or Teams or whatever. And in that point, what I advise always is like, have a conversation in the beginning with your clients about this.
In which
if you are sharing information, if you are keeping information, understand and make that a topic.
Okay. Yeah, I do it. I didn't think about it, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Because we talk about the platform we are going to use and how we are going to use it, how we are going to share, because I like to use Google.
Yeah.
So that's what I always tell them, because I don't want to use Dropbox or other platform because I don't like it. So I do it just
and I give you the example, for instance, with Zoom and the problems that Zoom had in the beginning. But I was talking even with people that work in Zoom, and the explanation is quite valid, is that the platform was used by really a small number of people compared with the explosion of users that you had. So then, of course, is when you understand that the system was fragile, not necessarily for what they had, but they were not prepared for that volume and that growth in such a short period of time. So I do believe when they say they increment their systems, and I don't have any reason to doubt that. But like I say, this is also a risk. You see, if they would have created a scenario, could you imagine that from one day to the other we will have 2 million users? You know, like,
I think they will be like, oh, it's not possible.
Yeah. So also, it's a good idea maybe for even cybersecurity companies to hire creatives.
Yeah, maybe it's good.
You know, like for instance, the people that create crazy scenarios, utopic scenarios, because in this pursuit for the doomsday, maybe you can be more prepared for many things. So creativity is
It's important for everything.
a key exercise for any service related to cybersecurity. That is the topic that we're talking now. So, and you know, like also in the good practices, you have the elementary backups. You know, like they're really elementary. But even for yourself, you know, how many times people have nightmares because they think they lost their pictures from their family or something like that. So, like I say, you see, it's not. This is not. Oh my God, what are we talking? This is not about information that it's so difficult to understand. It's actually the common, almost common sense, but that we are not. That we're not really prepared, like the passwords. I remember to see something recently, you know, still the 1234 or something like that, you know, or having a post-it with a password next to your computer if you are in a firm. Very common.
People do that still? They do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because like I say, there's different levels of maturity in many companies. Some companies never even heard. The small companies, look, Gemma, you live in the Netherlands, but you are from Spain. I'm from Portugal, and you know that there's many companies that like email what?
Yeah, that's true.
Email what? You know, oh, I will ask my secretary to send an email. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I was working before moving to the Netherlands with a company that they were going to the village, to the next village, to a place to have internet.
And that's also what we need. With this is not trying to be arrogant or anything. This is actually understanding this is still part of the fabric.
Yeah, it's reality.
The business ecosystem, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's the reality is that you have companies with a lot of awareness, even if they are not big. But some countries have still a very old-fashioned, traditional business ecosystem.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and like I say, it takes time. And some governmental responsibility in that to educate the population in general.
Yeah, that's true. So if you can give only one tip, imagine that I just arrived now, and I ask you for one tip, only one. They want you to close this, to say to the people one thing that they should do. When we close the screen now, they should go and do it.
No. Okay. So my tip is really that, but that's very personal. Is go and take your phone and see and do some first research on best practice for business in cybersecurity. Read a few, my tip is read a few articles. Try to see a few videos on YouTube or something from different sources. Take some time to hear others talking about the subject. This is my tip, because you have it. It's in your phone, it's in your computer. Even if you don't know so well how to engage, you know, well, to be hearing us, they know at least how to engage with social media. But try to do this first exercise of go, you know, instead of seeing strange, useless videos on YouTube, you know, take an evening after dinner. Instead of going, well, even in Netflix, I think you have some good documentaries, actually. Because you have more and more. For instance, the TV, the channel Vice, also brings some really interesting and useful content in this area as well. But like I say, try to see it as I'm going to see a movie, you know, in the sense of education. Yes, but please go best practice, cybersecurity, business, and then a few hours.
Okay.
That would be a little bit. And then try to find it.
I will do it. I will do it, Marisa.
And chase your friends for my tea.
Okay. Thank you, Marisa. Thank you very much.
Welcome. And also, you know that you can chase me if I can help you in anything. Please let me know.
Okay, when I see all the documentaries, if I have questions, I will tell you. You know, I can talk a lot, Marisa. So.
I know. That's why we all love you, because at least you talk and you always inspire us and you always bring us something to our life. So thank you, Gemma, for being like that.
Thank you, Marisa. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. Ciao.
Ciao.